Gold's been ripping. It's like the perfect storm for gold. It's up about 15% since Jerome Powell's speech at Jackson Hole a couple of weeks ago. And there's a lot of people in the Bitcoin world who are like, hey, gold and Bitcoin both are the solution to the same problem. Why is gold going up and Bitcoin's not? Are you worried at all? Or how should we think about this?
Gold's definitely been the story of the year. And I think at some level, there's a common parallel with Bitcoin, but there's also a distinct tone that's quite remarkable to gold itself. And I think to understand that, we have to return to some geopolitical, some history, and recognize that at the end of the day, these are driven by market participants and buyers and sellers, and ultimately flows that take dominance over what I might even argue as just facts that we can observe technically speaking. So big news this week that the US Treasury's gold reserve has actually hit $1 trillion. That's a big number. And that's because gold is not at 38.50. At the other side of this is the fact that the US reserve of gold is actually at a 90-year low. This they did not report in the mainstream media. And here I think lies the dilemma. Gold is going higher, but the US share of its gold reserve at a global level has decreased to a pretty low level. And this is the tension. And I think people like to talk about the price of gold, but the other dimension we need to consider is the relative level of gold's ownership across the geopolitical arena beyond just the absolute price itself. So I think this is partially why we're seeing such dominating flow with gold narratives, because there's active geopolitical participants, namely China. China has been very, very active in the marketplace in wanting to exert some influence on the dollar hegemony, but also have now actually taken action by purchasing gold directly in the marketplace. So I think there's a lot of moving parts here, but ultimately the salient facts are that at one point in time, post-World War II, the US had over 50% of the world's global gold reserve supply as a central bank, and now it's less than 20%. So who's making up for the compensation on their side? Likely China and many other BRIC countries in the lead. And I think that sets the backdrop for the conversation in gold that is, at this point in time, different than Bitcoin's adoption story to come on the institutional front.
Можете да разгледате нашата селекция от продукти на тема финансова грамотност и предприемачество, като посетите линка в пробиване.